And welcome to everybody. My name is Jeremy Babender, the Executive Director of SciTech Institute. Co-hosting with me today is Beth Nickel from Arizona Science Center. So thank you for joining us today for this session of STEM Community Lunchtime Conversations.
All right, so during this session, we've got presenters that are going to share ways in which you can engage with aviation in STEM. So our presenters today are Paul Kopp, pilot and founder of STEM Plus C, Justin Edinger, program manager, Green Drone, Arizona, Jake Canty, flight instructor, UND Aerospace, and Camilo Water, chief science officer, Buckeye High School. So thank you all for joining us today to speak with our group.
I wanted to bring up our first speaker, Barry Kopp, pilot and founder of STEM Plus E. And I've been in communication with Paul through his opportunities for multiple years now, and it's really been awesome just to see the growth of what he has been doing with the program, both in curriculum, the participants, and just really getting involved with the community. So very excited and happy Paul can join us today. So take it away, Paul.
Captain at Southwest Airlines, and like Jeremy said, founder of STEM Plus C. Let's see how I got involved in the STEM part of aviation, aerospace, and aeronautics. Started back with a program at Southwest Airlines called Adopt a Pilot. It's a program that was geared toward fifth graders. As you can see, I got a tie on there. That was one of the years that I did the Adopt a Pilot back. That's probably about 12 years old or so. But anyway, when I got involved in the program, I realized how much more we, as professionals in this industry, can offer to the students. Especially fifth graders, they're wide-eyed and ready to take on the world and absorb everything. I absolutely love working with the fifth graders. But anyway, so I started that about 12 years ago and realized that the curriculum that we had at Southwest Airlines was lacking for better, it was just too simple. There was so much more that we could do with this curriculum than just some, simple experiments with ping pong balls and straws. So I started to expand the program. We did near space balloons with my kids in the fifth grades, and neighboring schools caught on to what we were doing and asked me to come in or bring my program to their school. So that's how it kind of started to organically grow. Then I've always been, well, I haven't always been, but for many years I've been an RC airplane guru, a multi-rotor guru. So I started to realize the value of the RC airplane and the multi-rotor with giving the kids these experiences. Oh, and rocketry too. I'm sorry, I didn't mention rocketry. But giving these kids like the baseline foundation knowledge with the RC airplane, the multi-rotor, and rocketry. So then I started to go into schools doing in-school programs, after-school programs, and I'm also I was a robotics coach at the time too, first LEGO League and first Technical Challenge. So what I found out is that when you bring the RC airplane and the rocketry into the schools, it gives the kids that absolute baseline knowledge that an RC airplane flies no different than that 737 that I fly. The physics are the exact same. So you get them used to the verbiage, you get them used to the terminology, you get them used to, you get them out flying, and then they develop a love for it. Now when they go on to fly a real airplane or their first discovery flight or introductory flight, they already have the base knowledge down pat. And these kids, for example, long story short, one of the kids that's been working with me since he's been in fifth grade, he graduated high school as a certified flight instructor. That is unheard of. In the United States, we might have 1 or 2 kids that graduate high school as a certified flight instructor. And the kid was very motivated. I'll give it to that student. But definitely the programs that he had done with me over the course of the years just set, instructors used to give me feedback that this kid was smarter than us on some of his knowledge of aviation, the physics of aviation, aeronautics, and aerospace. So anyway, I'll get to the end here because I'm probably running short on time, but I'm trying to expand what I do with STEM Plus C. STEM Plus C has been in existence for a while now. Where I'm at right now with STEM Plus C is trying to get a 4,000 square foot facility and 10 to 15 acres of land. and kind of be the park district of aeronautics, aerospace, and aviation, geared toward elementary, junior high, high school, and college kids, and even adults that want to continue learning in these areas. So that's where I'm at. It's hard. It's like pulling teeth trying to move to the next step. Jeremy knows. I've been talking with Jeremy, and it's frustrating trying to go that next step. But I guess that's about me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for so much for providing the intro on that. And just to follow up, can you remind me what are I think there's like 3 schools you're in or 2 schools. Where are you at?
Well, so COVID was a weird year. So we weren't in any schools in COVID, nor are we really in any schools this coming academic year. But we have gone all community-based, which one of the things that we learned with the community-based is we now have students at Hamilton High School, Perry High School, Higley High School. So we have students that now we realized going community-based, we're able to reach more students. And we reach our students through Facebook by word of mouth, parents and that, have done our programs in the past. So that is kind of the concept with where I want to go with the organization. I want to make it a community-based organization, where students from all schools and teachers, for that matter, from all schools can utilize the facility and then have knowledgeable staff on hand to help them kind of professional development type with, if a teacher wants to do a rocketry segment or a multi-rotor segment, but they're not knowledgeable enough to do that stuff, we would provide that expertise for them.
Got it. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming today and talking a little bit about STEM plus C and your background. It's really awesome to see kind of just really that, engaging, want to be part of it, as a pilot, really helping to inspire kids and creating these opportunities. So thank you again. Next one of the queue, Justin Ettinger, the program manager for Green Drone Arizona. Thank you, Justin, for being here.
Hello, teachers, students, and parents. My name is Steve Watson, the Maricopa County School Superintendent, and I'm excited to introduce our first STEM Pro Live at Home with professionals from a unique project called Green Drone. Green Drone is an awesome example of people from different fields working together to innovate and achieve something great for the community and our STEM students. The Green Drone Arizona project is a collaboration between Northern Arizona University, the Tonto National Forest, Arizona State University, the National Forest Foundation, and the Boeing Company. Those are a lot of people working together to do something great for the community. And today, Jacob Draper, Chris Updike, and Justin Ettinger will take us through aspects of conservation, technology, and natural resource management, bringing these all together to conserve our natural ecosystem. You will also hear about their career interests and their motivations to get involved in this meaningful project. Let's check it out.
Hello, my name is Chris Updike. I'm a program manager for Northern Arizona University. We have a program we call Ecoculture, and behind us here is the cactus fire. So this started in April of 2017, and it's here on the Tonto National Forest, the Mesa Ranger District, and it created a new opportunity for us to get engaged in riparian restoration. So we want to try to take this burnt, charred forest or remnants of a forest and restore it. We want to bring back the biodiversity. We want to add in new plant species and help to rebuild it.
My name is Justin Ettinger, and I'm a GIS and Natural Resource Specialist with the Tonto National Forest. So the first part of that, GIS, is Geographic Information Systems. And the Forest Service uses GIS specialists to perform spatial analysis and map different features on the forest. The Natural Resource Specialist side of that, as pertains to this project, is really acting as a riparian ecologist and managing the Lower Salt River Restoration Project.
The Lower Salt River Restoration Project began in 2018 in the aftermath of the cactus fire. This is a very collaborative and participatory group. It's the National Forest Foundation, Northern Arizona University, United States Forest Service, Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management. Collectively, we've engaged in a management action out here on the lower Salt River to try to increase biodiversity and restore native vegetation across 300 acres. So right here behind us, you can see some of the trees that were cut, some of the salt cedar, but then you also see lots of the riparian vegetation behind us. So the project area is really large. And so we know that our management actions have implications, and we can see changes in the vegetation as a result of our management actions over time. But we really need to understand this. So this is called adaptive management. Adaptive management typically means that you learn while you do. We don't have all the right answers. Ecological restoration is a process. It's an engagement of not just the community, but it's also engagement of management partners and management actions. And so we need to understand and track those changes over time.
So Chris talked about adaptive management, and a really important part of adaptive management is using monitoring to determine vegetative response to our management actions. And GIS really serves as a great tool to implement that strategy. So we can use GIS to map different vegetation species across our project site, and sort of getting into remote sensing and using drone technology is just an extension of that, meaning we can get an above ground view of our project site in real time. So one aspect inside GIS that we can use is a method known as remote sensing, and that's the acquisition of information without making physical contact. So in this sense, that means mapping and inventorying plant species on the lower Salt River here without having to cover that landscape on the ground.
So this gets really complicated when it comes to monitoring. So if you have a very large area, let's say, even if it's just a couple acres in size, if you actually wanted to map out what the vegetation looked like by hand, it would take a lot of time with a lot of teams. There'd be a lot of hours on the ground, and you'd end up with a lot of inaccuracies. And so over the course of the implementation of this restoration project, we have tracked changes. At least we can anecdotally see them. We see the vegetation changing in its composition, and we really wanted to figure out a way to see the landscape as a whole, understand how those changes were affected by our management actions, and try to figure out where the best moves were to be made over time.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Draper. I'm the project manager at NAU for Green Drone Arizona, and I'm the licensed FAA Part 107 drone pilot. In the springtime and the fall, that's when we like to use drones to monitor our project site. So you could find me out in the field using a piece of equipment similar to this to survey our site and see how our management action plans are working. We've developed curriculum to teach high school students based on Arizona state standards, where we're teaching kids about natural resource management, conservation, and technology, and how we can integrate technology into that natural resource management aspect. At my last job, my supervisor approached me and asked me to become the drone pilot for the Phoenix office. And I didn't know anything about drones at that point in time. And I started to gain knowledge over time about how to fly certain things I needed to look for whenever I was completing flights. But really coming into this field of natural resource management and having to deal with plants, we're really at the tip of the iceberg here with technology and applying that technology for management plans.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I'll have to send some follow-up to them later. And if we have questions, we can also pull them together, and then we can reach back out about those questions. So next, want to cue Jake Canty, Program Manager at UND Aerospace. And so thank you, Jake, for being here. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're up to as of late.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me in. Really enjoyed doing these events with you guys and the organization. I see we've got a video queued up here. I think that one was talking about.
We don't have to play it. It was just a backup, Jacob. I didn't know. Are you going to take us on a tour?
My airplane's out flying right now, and everything's really busy. So unfortunately, I can't take you on a tour. I did take a video last night of a flight that I did, just a quick tour around the cockpit of that I might show here in just a second and share with you guys. But a little bit about me and kind of what I do. My name is Jake Canty. As was mentioned, I am a flight instructor. I've been flight instructing since 2003, flight instructing for UND for the last 15 years at multiple campuses in Grand Forks, our main campus, Lumberton, North Carolina, Crookston, Minnesota, Williston, North Dakota, Spokane, Washington, and now I'm down here in Phoenix out at Williams Mesa Gateway. And my main job right now, or my primary duty, is to fly the airplane that you see behind me in this picture. It's one of our King Air C90 GTIs, and we use that as a turbine transition for our international customers who actually come over to us from typically China, but we also get Taiwan, we get some Koreans, we get them from Norway doing ATC, we get from a lot of different places. And we train them basically, unlike an American pilot who goes through multiple different iterations to get to a large airplane via flight instructing and then moving on to maybe some corporate work or moving into a regional airline and then moving into a major airline. Our students move straight from a small airplane, a trainer, directly into a large 737 or an Airbus or something like that, depending on where they're going, maybe even a 777 or a 787. And so the airplane behind me serves as kind of their transition to go from a small 4-seat piston powered airplane into a large turbine airplane for their airline. And so what I do is we are training them to work and be more of a crew member rather than flying on their own, to be able to actually work within a crew, what we call crew resource management, and basically how to save the day if they have to, not flying wise, but actually saying something when they see something going wrong or that's not happening correctly, and a little bit on how to fly the airplane as well, but not too much there. On my time off, when I'm not sitting in the airplane, these types of events are the things that I like to do. We've done multiple different things, working with high schools around the country, helping teachers and schools develop curriculum that can actually qualify as aviation, sometimes getting college credit for it while they're going through high school. EVIT is one of the schools that we work with here in the Phoenix area, where the students their senior year will actually come fly with us and take college courses during their senior year. They'll do a private pilot ground school during sometimes their junior year or beginning of their senior year as well, before they come fly the airplane. Kind of a dual enrollment process, depending on what part of the country you live in. They have different names for it. But also doing a lot of Boy Scout camps, camps at local libraries. We work with the Pima Air and Space Museum down in Tucson for several years. They used to do a program called Night Wings, and we would go down there and do that. Just park events, anything pretty much that I can get involved in, where we can bring down the wind tunnel, bring down a simulator to any event or any classroom, or even do stuff live stream and introduce students to that aviation side. One of the really cool things about aviation, and anybody that does it and anybody involved in the industry will share, that no matter what you want to do, whether it's engineering, whether it's designing, whether it's computer programming, whether it's actually flying, ATC, or anything else, aviation has a segment that is for you. And a lot of people don't realize that. When we think about aviation, we think, oh, airline pilot. That's all that there is to it. But there's a lot of different sides. And so I really enjoy introducing people to those different sides of aviation to try to get them in, because our biggest challenge right now is trying to staff, especially in the airline world and getting into the corporate world now, is trying to find pilots. And for our world, trying to find flight instructors, because they're all getting hired by the airlines incredibly rapidly as the COVID recovery is even faster than anybody thought and bigger than anybody thought. It's going to be an interesting 5 years here as we move on. So let me see if I can share this. I know I'm running out of time here, but let me see if I can share my screen here and get a quick video of what I've got, the airplane that we fly. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Awesome. It's a pretty crude video from last night, just out flying around. I will share really cool picture actually, really quick with you. This is something we don't typically see, but that is actually the Milky Way galaxy last night from 22,000 feet, doing a little over 300 miles an hour, zooming through the sky. So it's not very often that we can actually get a good shot of the Milky Way, but that is her. Obviously some other photos and things. That was actually my senior picture. We won't talk about how long ago, but a few years. All right. So this was a video that I shot, as I mentioned last night, really quick. We were headed up to Farmington. I was doing a check ride for a couple of students, Farmington, New Mexico. There we go. There we go. So, you know, certainly would value coming into anybody's school. Really like working with counselors and teachers and things like that to help them develop curriculum to get their students excited in aviation. And it doesn't have to be high school, could be middle school, could be grade school. We find the younger we can get them interested, then the better chance of them moving on and really creating a passion and a love for aviation. Because that's what it is. It's not a job, it's a passion.
Very cool. Thank you so much. I love the connection, actually, you know, both with you and Paul are, you know, both passionate, you know, individuals working to connect and just be part of the community. Very cool. Appreciate you being here and talking about what you're up to. Next, want to transition it to Camilo Walter. He's a chief science officer at Buckeye High School, and he's been really pursuing a lot of his passions as a CSO and his action plans and the projects, and wanted to share what he's up to related to aviation. So, oh, it's not Buckeye. Which school is it, Kelly?
It's Boulder Creek
Camilo.
High School.
Yeah, Boulder Creek.
Boulder Creek. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
No worries.
So take it away, Camilo. Love to hear what you have to talk about. So.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Sorry I'm a little late. I just got home from school, but my name is CSO Camilo, or Camilo Waters, whichever organization you're from. And I'm a senior at Boulder. Actually, can you do the next slide? Sorry. Thank you. So I'm a senior at Boulder Creek High School. A little bit about me. I was born in Colombia I was born in Colombia, in Bogota, which is the capital. And this is going to be my 5th year in the CSO program. I started when I was in middle school, and I've seen it all 4 years of high school. And now I'm a senior, ready to go out into the world. And just a little about me, I play soccer and I play guitar. If you could click the next slide. My story with aviation is a little bit interesting. So my stepdad, he's actually a pilot. And when I met him, he was flying a Gulfstream, which is that top picture out there, out of Scottsdale for a credit card company. So he flew the boss around everywhere. And I actually got to go on it multiple times because the boss kind of liked us. So my dad's last name is Waters, Craig Waters. But now he switched to a airline, Southwest Airlines. He's a first officer. He's stationed here in Phoenix. And throughout my whole life that I've met him, or that I've been with him, he's taken me flying multiple times. So a couple of years ago, we went up on a 172, which is this little airplane right here on the right. And that was like the first time like it sparked for me. I was like seeing everything and how he controlled and moved everything. I was just bedazzled is the right word there. I was really interested. And from there on, it just kind of sparked my passion. If you could please click the next slide. So then about a year ago, I started flying out of Goodyear, out of a 172. That's actually the actual plane I fly, 24483. And I began training out of Fly Goodyear. And I've been just working and paying off my flight lessons. Every time I get a paycheck, I go fly, and just been doing that, periodically throughout a year. And just this summer, actually, if you could please go to the next slide. Just this summer, I actually soloed for the first time and achieved that. And it was awesome. Such a good experience. And my flight instructor was there for me the whole time. And, it was just such a great achievement. And, I haven't been able to fly for a while now just because I hurt my leg and stuff, but I'm really hoping to continue it. And as I'm moving forward, achieving my private pilot's license and making a career out of it, just like my dad did. So yeah, do I have any questions? Something that I actually wanted to expand on was how much aviation has actually taught me related to school. So last year when I started taking my flight training lessons, there's these books that I have to read to study for my written and oral exam. And surprisingly, I was taking an AP physics course in school, and I could see the connections between everything that I was learning in school and everything that I was learning through the books. And aviation really just is not just everything about flying. There's also a lot of like technical, like you have to learn about the weather. You have to learn about like magnetization. You have to learn everything about that. And it's just super cool to learn all those things, and how like aviation really, and like flying planes really has a lot to do with everything around you, not just the plane itself. So yeah, it was really awesome to learn all that and see how school and flying kind of interfaced. So yeah, do I have any questions?
Yeah, that's a good transition, actually. We would love it if you could post your questions in the chat to our wonderful presenters. I'll kick it off. We had one question is, I love that picture that was shown of the Milky Way, when you're flying, and kind of this idea of what, when you're flying up in there, what has changed your perspective on life, when you see the world from such a different point of view than other people. And so maybe start with Camilo and then go to our other presenters with Paul and Jacob.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely crazy to see the world from up there. At a good year, I'm 2,000 feet above the ground. That's our pattern altitude up there. And it's crazy to see everything. I mean, everything looks so small, and the world just looks so much more open, and so many opportunities. Just kind of like, I don't know, that was kind of what I fell in love with, is when my dad and we flew to Sedona for the first time. And I was just amazed by everything, and just seeing everything, and just to think like all the opportunities that are out there, just flying and having fun. It's really amazing.
And how about you, Paul?
We fly a little higher than that. But it is, we get to see the Starlink satellites is one of the really cool things that we've been watching lately. And that's just fun because there's several apps that tell you when the Starlinks are going to fly over. So those are always fun to see. We always get the occasional weather balloon launch. And then the other thing, I've seen 2 shuttle launches. I haven't seen a SpaceX launch yet. The other thing that's really cool is I'm super interested in my older adult life here. I've really gotten into enjoying engineering. I originally went to ASU as an electrical engineer. But one of the things I'm really interested, or my job gives me the ability to do, is to travel all over the world or around the country. I want to make it down to Harlingen and get up to Boca Chica, where they're building Starbase and launching the Starship from. That is just it's really cool. The other really cool thing about my job as a pilot is seeing the seasons change over the course of the year. Watching the poplar trees turn yellow and the aspens change color, and then seeing the snow form on the mountains again in the Sierras and the Rocky Mountains, and then as we get into summer, seeing the snow melt. And it's really cool. It's really cool to observe, and I'm an observer. It's really cool to see those things from our perspective.
And Jacob, anything else to add beyond seeing the Milky Way the other day?
Well, I would have to completely agree to what everybody's saying. It is a different world, and if we have a chance here, let me throw up to kind of mimic what we're talking about here. This is one of my favorite quotes, and one of my hobbies is to take photography and then add quotes, and I'm working on making some calendars and things like this. But I think this quote from Socrates perfectly talks about exactly what we're saying. It is a completely different world once you get up there. And it's a world that we see all the time from the ground, but it just changes when you see it from above. Everybody from the local area, this is looking off the ramp. That's the Superstition Mountains out there in the backdrop. And the couple years ago when we had the snow, this is actually coming into Phoenix from the north with the snow on the mountains. And it's just something that we don't typically think about. You don't see it until you see it from a different perspective, and you get to realize that borders are different. They don't really, it's not that big of a deal. You go from state to state and it's like, oh, and we crossed a line. Even when you fly into Canada or fly into Mexico or whatever, you just crossed a line. And so it definitely makes the world a lot smaller. And it's something completely different. There's the coast there. Somebody had posted a question about unexpected things. And then there was another one that we work with a lot as far as financial aid and things like that. What you learn in aviation, and anybody that flies a lot, especially as a career or as a hobby, will tell you, is that every day there's something that's unexpected. And that's part of the specialness of flying, is that you never know. I've been to Farmington hundreds of times. I've never seen the Milky Way like that at night. We've also watched a beautiful lightning show last night over by Albuquerque. And we were on top of the clouds watching lightning jump from cloud top to cloud top. I mean, you never know what you're going to see. And in my line of work, I tell people the most exciting and fun part about my job is that the guy sitting next to me comes up with a new way to kill me every single day. And it's my job to make sure that they don't succeed. Because it's like driver's ed at 30,000 feet or wherever we're at. So that's definitely really exciting. As far as financial aid and like paying for aviation, it is expensive. There is no doubt about it. Now, if you think about it, a 4-year degree at UND Aerospace at our main campus is probably going to run you $140,000, $150,000. Which, if you think about it, though, for a 4-year degree in anything else, it's really not that much more. And that includes your tuition, your room and board, and your flight fees. So if you go to school to be an engineer, or if you go to med school, it's going to cost you way more than that. Or law school or anything else. So it's not as unattainable as it sounds. And there are ways to reduce the costs and things like that. There's also a lot of scholarships available for people, whether they're going to a collegiate program, or even if you're just learning to fly on your own. There's a lot of different ways to pay for it, and a lot of organizations out there that have interests, just like we do, in getting youth, and not just youth, but anybody into the aviation field, whether it's as a career or as a hobby. So there is definitely a lot of aid out there.
Can you guys hear me okay? I've got a comment on that. One of the ways that I've discovered drastically could reduce the cost of aviation for a student is to get them interested early on. And the ways to get them interested early on are through remote control airplane, multi-rotor flying, and even rocketry. There's so many programs available. There's UAS for STEM by the AMA. There's TARC. NASA has the Student Launch Challenge. There's so many different avenues available for teachers to bring this stuff into the classroom. So if you set the foundation with the remote control airplane, for instance, and how it relates to aviation, that remote control airplane flies no differently than a 737 or a 747. So you get the students very inexpensively learning to fly RC airplane first, remote control airplane. We do that first by line of sight, where they have the controller and they're flying the airplane via line of sight. But then we put the goggles on the students. So it gives it that immersive experience of being the pilot in the airplane, without the jeopardy of, if you crash that airplane, well, you're not going to get hurt. It's you're doing it kind of somewhat virtually. And our students that learn to fly remote control airplane and then go off to like STEM plus C, we have a Cessna 150 out at Chandler Airport. These students are soloing within 3, 4, 5 hours because they already have the basis down pat, and they're not spending the $200 a flight hour to learn something very inexpensively. They already learned it very inexpensively with the remote control airplane. So my advice is get the students into remote control airplane, because that will drastically, at the end of the day, if a student's pursuing an aviation career, drastically reduce the cost of training in a real airplane.
And to expand a little bit more on that, I actually love that you brought that up, because I was actually going to talk to Kelly about it. This old little toy of mine that I used to get myself interested in aviation, we found it in the garage while we were digging through it. And it was like the first thing that just kind of like opened my mind to like, whoa, I could really fly. Was flying this little Cub Sport that my dad bought me for Christmas once. And he had his own RC planes. And it was just kind of like a way that I like 11 years old, I got interested in it. And here I am now flying a 172. So.
Can't wait to go fly with you.
So with that, I think we need to. Go ahead, Kelly.
I was just going to say, like, the hands-on learning that normally I don't chat during these, but I'm super excited that we've spanned, the whole experience of aviation in Arizona, and from being inspired to career to, different levels. And, I'm really excited that Camilo was able to share his experience because it's attainable. And that's kind of what, Jake and Paul are both talking about, that if you want it, we can help you find a way. So I know both of them are willing to share with your students. Camilo, as a chief science officer, is willing to talk about it. So maybe we do get a couple of, different items available to kind of explore. So with that, I want to take, I'm so excited. What a great conversation today. And we're always nervous. You just never know how it's going to go. So we're super excited to have our CSOs on from Kenya. They're super interested in aviation. We're going to go into breakout rooms now to spend about 10-12 minutes talking about ways you can brainstorm, either ways to get Paul, Jake, or Camilo to talk to your class, or maybe host an event or anything. So we've got some guiding questions, we've got some moderators, and I think Amanda's going to go ahead and move us into those breakout rooms now. And let's go ahead and continue this conversation, but we'll have our moderators share a highlight when we come back. So thank you all for being here. And thank you to our presenters. This was a lot of fun today.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I'm gonna give everyone a couple seconds to come back into our main room before we start to share out some awesome things. And I do apologize, I did not send out the Google sheet with the questions before we got into our breakout rooms and realized way late. So
Hi,
I apologize.
Carol. How are you guys doing over there? I haven't seen you guys online in a while. I hope you're doing well. Culbertson family, good to see you. All right, I would say go ahead and pick your share.
All right. Claire, because I see you first, would you like to share something, a highlight from your breakout room?
It looks like, oh, there we go. I was
There
going to
they
say
are.
it was just our breakout room.
Oh,
There's everybody.
There they are.
All right, so our room had a great conversation. We talked a lot about sort of the logistics of learning these skills. We talked about scholarship opportunities, and we talked about the role of simulators in training and kind of how far they've come in recent years. And we also learned a little bit about the amazing opportunities on RSV Argo. We really had an awesome discussion. So thank you to everybody in our room.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. Fritz, would you like to share some highlights from your group?
Yes. Let me have I'm writing a chat into the chat for Claire, asking about I'll just talk it about the scholarship opportunities. That sounds fantastic. Could you either share that with us now, or make sure that we can get that out to all of our friends here in the resources page, because that sounds great. Because in our conversation, we didn't talk so much about scholarship opportunities. We had fun talking about in the first question about what do we do with our plan and when things go wrong. There was this great comment.
We saw the answer. Take a drink of your, or take a sip of your drink and stay calm.
That's the one. That's the one where when things go wrong, like when alarms go off, it's like take a sip of your drink, because he said if you panic, that's the easiest way to make sure that things don't go right. But if you're able to take a sip of your drink, I think that's brilliant, because that taste, that flavor is very grounding. It kind of brings you back down to earth, not literally, but metaphorically, in the sense that it brings you, it grounds you in the moment, rather than all of your senses, like, oh, this is wild. It's like, be all right. we'll be all right. So that was good. We had a good conversation.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Fritz. So Casey, would you like to share a quick highlight from your group today?
Yeah, so we went around and talked about where we have flown, like our favorite places to fly or where we've flown in the past, and then where we would like to fly. And then we talked a little bit about makerspaces and things that you can do in a makerspace around aviation and aerospace. And then we talked a little bit about the airports in Kenya and sort of like what different airports look like in different places.
Awesome. Awesome. Casey, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much. We want to thank you again for attending this STEM Community Lunchtime Conversation session. Your participation and input are what make our STEM community stronger. And we will be following up in the next few days with an email summary of the discussion from your breakout rooms, copies of the slide presentations, a link to our video, and also a registration link for our upcoming conversations. We'll also pull out some of those important links that you guys shared in the chat as well. Oh, so sorry. So please join us for our next time to discuss aerospace on Thursday, August 19th at noon. Thank you everybody for joining. Have a great day.
We want to also plug the STEM Summit registration is open. So September 29th, don't forget to sign up to we're going to have hybrid style. So Kenya CSOs, I'll send you the details so you can join all the way from Kenya, but we would love to see you on September 29th. So save that date. The registration is open. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to add, sorry, I know it's kind of.
No, you're fine, Jake, go for it.
Oh, Jacob, you're muted.
It was Camilo.
Was it Camilo? Oh, Camilo.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry about that. So in the link, I actually shared a link, or in the chat, I shared a link about scholarships and grants that they offer here. This is just the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration. So it's kind of who like oversees everything. But there's like, I don't know, there's like maybe 15 programs here that I see that are grants and scholarships just for people like, I'm guessing like me and other people around the United States or even around the world to kind of get aid on aviation. And right here, I see like Women in Aviation International, which is something so great that I just noticed. And like Boeing offers scholarships and all these places that would really like to see people be more interested in aviation. So yeah, I share that in the chat there.
I'm also going to shout out for the Experimental Aircraft Association has a Young Eagles program. It's free for kids. They get to go fly in a small plane like Camilo, and they can find out if it lights their fire. So it's a great opportunity. EAA Young Eagles.
That was my first flight. Actually, my first two flights were with Young Eagles flights. Back then, it was 5 cents a pound, and I will. I will tell you, as a flight instructor for many years, I will tell parents that I will tell them within 2 minutes whether they should start saving for flight school or not, because there is something that you can see in a person's eyes and on their face that you know they're hooked. Yeah, I tell them, it's just as expensive as drugs or anything else, but it's much better for your health and much better to land you in a good place overall.
I know, right? Penicillin is like $500, not penicillin, insulin.
So there you go,
Crazy.
Fred. There you go, Fritz. Jacob is a case study of STEM transitioning from a freebie flight with EAA volunteers, having Jacob hop in a seat and actually take the yoke. And he just was like the Cheshire Cat. Wow, this is for me. And here he is today.
And as a teacher, the best part about it is now he's actually an instructor. And so he's
Right.
inspiring new aviators. And to me, that's a full circle moment. And I'm just truly excited to have met all of you and, put this panel together with Amanda. Like, these would be interesting people to put together in the same room. And it really worked out well today. So I just want to say thanks again for all of our presenters saying, yes, I'll do it. Camilo, glad you got back from school in time. It was perfect. So thank you all again.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, well, with that, we're going to end the call. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.
Of
Feel
course.
free to
Hi,
send
everyone.
out to the, sorry. Feel free to send out to the list my contact information. There were a lot of questions coming in the chat and I was trying to answer as I could. But my contact information, like I said, I'm happy to come in and talk to any teachers, counselors, whether it's career or college. You know, I do a lot of college counseling as well. And one of the things that we really like to do, not to take work away from myself, but is to train the counselors and train the teachers so that they can answer the questions as well if we're not available to come into a classroom. So.
Yeah, another fascinating area that people don't think about, if you're really like video games, there's no organization more effective at simulation than working for Boeing or Lockheed. Okay, I mean, the gaming technology that you have in your hand that was created by Activision and Dave Crane and that group. If you want to really ramp up your game and get into software development and so forth, Boeing and Lockheed and all the aviation companies are huge into simulation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's where our world is going right now, right? Gaming and technology and getting that into our professions and how they connect is awesome for our kids to see.
Well, I'm in the VR, virtual reality and AI organization, the association for that. So, and they're looking for people all the time.
Awesome.
So software development folks, link that to your fanaticism. I'm going to say, Jacob, for flight, because it becomes one of those things you're out on, and suddenly your car takes you to the airport. You don't know how that happened. It's a
Yep, absolutely.
Well, thanks.
All
I
right.
believe also good. Make it a good rest of the day.
You guys as well. Thank you, everyone, especially our CSOs from Kenya. Thank you for being on with us today. I hope you guys got a lot out of it, and we will see you the next time for aerospace.